being a white rapper, at the same time where your barrier of entry is difficult, your margin of error is also very big too.
Is this just not a reflection of everything that we're putting out? It's just, now it came back to us as a white kid.
Like, don't make being white like your whole brand. Okay, like,
then you get Tom McDonald.
Then you get Asher Roth.
Asher, yeah.
So whatever you say, and whatever you say, can and will go against you in the court of Black Twitter. A quick random YouTube question, because I'm kind of out of the loop. Is Jidion, right?
Gideon is Jidion?
Or is Jidion Gideon?
I thought it was just Jidion.
I thought he changed his name because he was like, I want to follow Christ. And then and then he ended up not doing that. I don't know.
I think he's still following Christ, but I think it's.
He's still following the Lord?
Yeah, he just went back to doing pranks again. But he had his like wake up moment of.
Are the pranks like the same?
No, because he got people fired.
Yeah, I saw about that. When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, he's like, I got people fired, so time to go follow Jesus. And he's like, nah, I'm gonna still follow Jesus, but nah.
Going full Christian. I mean, I respect it. It's just, you're gonna lose like 90% of your audience, respectfully.
Amen. You're never alone with Christ.
That's all you need.
Never alone with Christ, bro.
All right. So recently, Tyler, the Creator, did an interview with Mab Carter where he made some statements that kind of set the internet on fire. I definitely had some takes to give on my Twitter. If you're not following me there, you definitely should. That sparked even more debate and discussion. I ended up writing kind of this emotionally charged video, tearing into his statements, his career. And after a while, I ended up just calling my boy Vince because I knew I was just thinking about things a little too deeply. And we ended up having like an hour conversation. And after a while, I realized that we just need to have this conversation on camera because there's just too much to discuss over the phone or on Twitter. So today is a result of that open conversation. This is my boy Vince, the most music-headed person I know, who has not only a deep understanding and love for hip-hop, but for music as a whole. We probably could have had 10 podcasts based off of the debates from the Drake and Kendrick beef. So I knew if I were gonna have any conversation about music, it'd only be right to have him on.
Great to be here. I'm nervous because this thing is swinging, so hopefully it's not sounding bad. But we're gonna talk about it and see what happens. So yeah.
Me, how you doing today, Vince?
I'm a little nervous, but I'm chilling.
Yeah, that's all good. Getting in front of the camera, get the lights on.
Staring at the dog made me feel better. That's why my eyes are over there, because the baby over there.
So some time has passed since Tyler did the interview. We've had time to kind of digest and understand what he said, get our hot takes out, and now we can really just discuss the points that he was making. So I guess Tyler stating that the current day climate for the hip hop and the music community is kind of getting homogenized and everyone's sounding the same. Like, how do you feel about the current state?
The current state of, well, I think from rap, I was gonna say this for later, but rap is in a great place. I think personally, it's like we have rap for me, at least in my like perspective, is getting weirder, and because of that, it's getting better because people are being more creative with their sound. I mean, JPEG Mafia is one of them that are super avant-garde, but also they make very potent music. There's a bunch of other underground that should be more mainstream, but
yeah, I'm loving Skywater right now.
Very big. Vince Staples even, who's kind of been in the game for a long time, is starting to kind of break into more experimental, more abstract sounds, which I believe, and I feel like his music has gotten much better as he's gone along, and then this kind of like the apex of it. So I think right now rap is in a great place, and from Tyler's perspective, to have him speak with such passion, I kind of get it, because at least from my perspective, rap has kind of been the biggest influence in my life. It's kind of helped me navigate through the world. It's political in its own like essence, it's cultural, and it also affects a lot of things. It has massive impact in language. Even in the interview, Tyler was talking about how LA folk would use slime, which is Atlanta or like South slang, and that's gonna happen when you have such a big impact as like Young Thug. I mean, Young Thug is huge, so of course kids are gonna copy what that is. It's just all imitation.
Yeah, I be saying that ass, and I'm not from New York.
That's what I'm saying. I be saying son. I be like, I'm been here my entire life, so it's like, you know what I mean? You just adapt it to your language, but really, I think with rap and how big it is now, you're gonna have problems. Like you're gonna have like I would hope that the genre that I truly love isn't perfect, because if it was, there's no flavor.
Right.
So it's like to have Tyler talk about it in such a passionate way that kind of lets me know where it's like, all right, cool. Well, this is kind of an obvious take, but it's like I can respect his opinion when it comes to music because he is a musician. He's done this longer than, and he's also one of the younger,
like new gen type of old head, or not old head. We'll get to that. But
yeah, I would say with Tyler, it's like I can, like if people were at home like freaking out like, oh my god, is Tyler like losing touch and all that stuff? It's like, to sum it up, no, I don't think so.
And yeah, I can understand his take from being a musician and wanting to be more instrument focused because he can play guitar, he can play piano. His music represents that, so it would only make sense he wants to see more of that.
Yeah.
But to kind of,
but you don't need to do that though.
Yeah. To draw this line in the sand almost, and kind of shun away the new meme rap, because there is an argument to be had of Tyler kind of starting out as not a meme rapper, because there was always he always binded in instrumentation and originality and his creative drive into the music, even if he was making a bitch suck dick or a Rella
Tron Cat.
Yeah, Tron Cat. You could still see his own influences in there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It is interesting to try to separate yourself from that now at this point in your career.
Right. With the whole idea of a musician, because are we going to talk about that point? Okay.
Yeah, let's go to it.
Okay, we can segue into that. But with the whole musician thing, do you have to learn like 4 instruments, 2 DAWs? Like, no, you don't need to do that if you want to go make music. Like, you can, as long as you have like the proper tools or the proper resources, you can do it. I don't think it makes you less of a musician if you just make meme rap or just make meme music. I mean, some of the most fun music I've listened to have had elements of comedy where it's like, okay, like this is not supposed to be taken like way too seriously, but it's like, it's still, like, I can still appreciate the art.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to Ice Cube Steady Mobbing the other day, and the second verse is just him like, oh, I'm in my lowrider and I gotta poop. I kid you not. It was like, greasy ass lips, now I got to take it, is like one of the lines. He's like, gotta take a crap. And I was like, that was the 90s. It was 91. So I was like, all right. It's a fantastic song. I listen to that, like, I know the whole beginning of that song by heart. But it's like, man, that's just a funny little thing. Afro Man too. Go 45 and 2 zigzags, baby, that's all we need. Like those songs aren't supposed to be like
taken super seriously.
Like,
even like a Range Brothers.
Yeah. Like top of the morning. It's like, just have fun. But it's like, to be a musician, you don't have to be so Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality with it. It's like, because it's supposed to be fun, you know, creativeness, like having a creative spirit should be fun. You shouldn't be in the lab just like constantly, like this is not one of the things we talked about earlier, but I remember there was like a SZA tweet where it's like, oh, like people were just gonna have to suffer. Like it was like during the time when like engineers were like getting like the Japanese anime creator like treatment where it's like 23 hours in the lab, 1 hour to sleep, and then back at it again, you know what I mean? And with Kanye doing his old like firing engineers because of that, I was like, that's whatever. But like no one should have to bleed for art. I mean, it's cool if you're super passionate about it, and if we could tell when you've taken a lot of care into it. Like you could put a lot of care into Old Town Road, which Lil Nas X did. You know what I mean? And that's considered to be like a song where it's like not as serious because it started out as like a Red Dead Redemption like music video, like whatever.
Yeah,
like a parody video.
Like Lil Tracy inspired, just having fun.
Right.
But we're country.
Exactly, we're just
Black
country boys.
Country.
So I would say with that, it's like you can still be a musician and not have to take it so seriously. I mean, if you want to, cool, but
yeah, if you choose to separate yourself, like that's great for you, but you shouldn't have to expect everyone to go to the lengths that you're going just to make music.
Right.
And now that we can kind of understand where Tyler's coming from, the main meat and potatoes of the interview, or what everyone's talking about, is the Tyler versus Ian.
Okay.
Or he never really said Ian's name, but it was heavily implied that he's speaking about Ian. So have you listened to Ian's music? Do you?
I have.
Okay. Do you? Not even like, do you understand where Tyler's coming from? Do you respect Ian's music? How do you feel about this whole discussion in general? All
right. So one thing I'll say, I did listen to Valedictorian. I did. What I will say, without being too radical, I do think the production on most of those tracks is very Gucci. Very Gucci, man. Like, I remember listening to it and I was like, this would sound fire with like a '06 Gucci Mane on it. Like an old, I'm trying to think of like an old mixtape right now, but I just can't think of it. I don't know. Waptover, I think is one of them. That's not probably it. Anyway, just hearing him on it would be like cool. And I get it, but at the same time, it's not the strongest critique that you could have for Ian stuff to be like, oh, he's just mocking Future, because I don't really hear it.
I don't really hear it. It's more like taking direct inspiration from Yeet, and you could say Cardi a little bit, but I'd say directly, yeah, Gucci beats, Yeet ad-libs, Yeet inflections and tone in his voice. It
does lean like towards that. Like, I would say it's more rage adjacent than it is more '06 trap adjacent, but I don't think it's Future, because I mean, it's kind of a discredit to Future to be like, oh, like, you sound so generic. Not saying Ian's music is generic, but it's like, you sound so homogenous to the other people that you helped put on, because Dirty Sprite 2 is one of my favorite projects of all time. So, and I hear a lot of inspirations from that project. And with that, and with Ian supposedly copying that, it's just not it, because nothing that Ian's made sounds like Serve the Bass. Nothing that Ian's made sounds like Rich Sex. Nothing that Ian's made sound like, Mess with Some Commas. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's copying, or I don't think he's mocking. No. I just think it's inspirations that may have been executed a little better, or with proper time in the production aspect, or maybe working on performances. Maybe Ian could do something more with these inspirations outside of just like taking it surface level. I think that's the greatest way to say it, surface level. Right. It's just surface level.
And it's his first project too. We haven't seen...
It's a mixtape.
Yeah.
It's a mixtape.
Jay Holiday mixtape. We haven't seen Ian even really come out and say anything about...
He has no interviews.
Yeah. So I think Tyler's words may kind of... He's pulling criticisms from multiple different artists, and it all kind of fed into just Ian hate, where some of it was warranted and deserved, some of it maybe not. But yeah, to say that he's directly mocking, I mean, if we're looking at like rap in terms of like family tree, and there's like the grandfathers, we have like our Future and our Young Thugs, and then we have the sons of Young Thug going into like Playboy Cardi and Lil Wayne, or not Lil Wayne. I mean, Lil Wayne is a father of Young Thug. Yeah. So it's just gonna be little descendants. And should we hold rap to a mainly African-American dominated like entertainment field or sport? Is Ian not allowed to take inspiration and make the type of music that he makes? Because in my opinion, I think he's fine. Not he's fine, but I don't see the some of the main criticisms besides he's white.
All right, that was a lot. So let me try to break it down. With the first question, I believe, which was like, can white folk operate in a predominantly black space? If rap was purely black, like if it was 100% like if we just kept it straight up, like it would be at its purest form, but it also wouldn't be as big as it is. And for how we act around like, the stigma around white people in predominantly black spaces, it's always this thought where it's like, oh, they're going to mess it up, or, oh, they're going to corrupt it in a way where it's not going to be recognizable to us. Appropriation happens. The double-edged sword of dealing with that is, with white folk being the majority, you're going to have a lot of people coming up, and you're going to have it's going to become this mainstream thing. Well, a mixture of a lot of things, mostly the internet, but when you have a lot of eyes on one thing, it gets big, but at that same time, the internet doesn't care about authors. It doesn't care about, who contributes to it. As long as it's being fed, it'll work.
Right.
So when you have that happening, plus with how quickly things are getting digitized, it's not going to matter who started what, or what is the main, like, where is it the main source, and respecting that main source is just going to blow. So within that, you're going to have appropriation. You're going to have, some folk demonizing, the roots and all that, the history. And then you're going to have people gaslight, where it's like, oh, like he didn't come up with that, we did. And then there's a whole whole sociological thing we could get into. But overall, I think it can be shared. I mean, white rappers, we have a ton of great white rappers in rap right now. Like A$AP Rock is fantastic. He's been ruling the underground for some time now. LP.
Oh yeah.
Second part of or second half of Run the Jewels. I mean, to keep up with Killer Mike is a feat. Mm-hmm. You have to respect Killer Mike for what he does and what he's able to perform, like what he does in general, like with music. I mean, bro's been at it for a while. To kind of give you, I mean, this is kind of turning into Killer Mike appreciation, but the fact that he was able to not only keep up, but to dominate with Outkast, and then LP to just be like, I'm just as good.
Yeah.
I mean, to say white people can't be in rap would mean to get rid of LP, which would mean I can't see that happening. Like, he's such an integral aspect of music right now. So LP's there. Eminem, obviously, you got your Mac Millers. We've had white folk come into the space and respect it as such. And for those that would respect it, like, we respect you. You know what I mean? Like, Mac Miller was big with Our Future. You know what I mean? A$AP Rock and his underground fans, like, he's respected. You know what I mean? So to say no, this is like, you can't be white and be in the space. It doesn't like fly.
It's disingenuous. And I think maybe like the main problem people are having is maybe not that he's a white rapper, but maybe like the marketing and everything that kind of comes around Ian, because what I'm seeing is mainly just he's rapping, but he's white. He's doing the on the block freestyles like at the dinner table with his parents. Mm-hmm. He dresses in his Family Guy uniform of white tee and regular jeans. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe people are kind of having like a distaste for that level of marketing. But I almost find it kind of hypocritical because Forbats is doing the same type of marketing. Mm-hmm. Granted, he's not a white dude, but it's, we have the drill, we got the ski masks on, we're in the block, we in the trap, but it's just R&B music.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like the rap fan and even Tyler's words himself can almost kind of be hypocritical, not only with just the white rappers, but with how he's talking about the meme music and where he came from. Because, I mean, Tyler started off kind of making the meme music, kind of implying that he not wanted to be white, but with the Wolf Haley alter ego, and kind of fostering an audience in a community based off of like the white listener. I think maybe now Tyler Creator is like having a famous Dex moment in terms of, you remember when you seen that clip where he's performing and he looks in the crowd
and it's all white
people, and he looks back. I want to say he's kind of having that kind of moment because now that he's in that, don't want to say halfway point, but like the coin is flipped in the terms of his career, where before he kind of shunned off that rap side, and now he almost kind of seeks validation from the rap listener, from rap fans, because he's always kind of been in the alternative space versus being full frontal. I love rap. I've been inspired by
West Side Gun,
Griselda, West Side Gun and Griselda, yeah,
to
where he's fully getting inspired by that. So that kind of leads into now, is Tyler almost becoming an old head? Is he shunning the new generation?
Mm-hmm. So first off, I don't think Tyler the Creator is an old head. I don't think he should be considered to be an old head, and for three reasons really. I like to define an old head based off nostalgia, as in terms of your general growing up environment. Like, where did you come from? Who are you? What did you do? What does your past kind of look like? And then that'll kind of give you an idea of where they're going to come from in terms of talking points. Because usually you'll have boomers are not going to mess with Lil Nas X. That's not their calling card. That's just not going to do it. The second thing I like to categorize old heads with is, outside of nostalgia, impact of their sound. So whatever era they're defending will kind of tell you like what they're going to talk about. If it's Bling era, it's probably going to be like Jay-Z, Nas. If they're talking about the golden age, probably going to be like Ice Cube, Pac, Biggie.
Yeah.
If they're talking about infancy, African Bambaataa, Sugar Hill Gang, like Eric B and Rakim.
Yeah,
they're going to talk
Tribe
about like
Called Quest.
exactly like you're going to have a lot of older like with the 90s you're going to have like grindhouse rappers, so like Wu-Tang Clan. Even with blog era, it's like we have Tyler the Creator. You can have like specific goats, and depending on what era you resonate with will be the one that you know will defend the most with old head energy. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh well, you know, Jay-Z was selling out records, this and this and that. Like your goat didn't make paid in full. Like, all right, well, my goat had you know flog-gnaw. You know what I mean? Like, did your goat do that? Like, we can have those arguments, and then old heads will kind of bring those up, be like, yeah, like my guy was certified because of this. And then the last point is just disdain for now, which is like the kind of like the pushing point of an old head, where it's like, okay, well, like bringing everything together, like bringing in Tyler the Creator. He's an LA dude, born in, he's like 30 now, so like 94, 31. He's like 30, like 92, 93, whatever. So he has recollection of like the golden age, or at least he was alive during the golden age. And then brought up with the blog era. So he came up with like really early Kendrick Lamar, like really early Goats, really early Drake.
Yeah, some Kanye West.
Yeah. It was kind of like a weird time because, you know, Bling, like the end of the Bling era and the start of the blog era were kind of like muddled because we were both figuring out what the internet was going to be.
Yeah.
And then once that happened, we just took off. But outside of that, so to consider him an old head would be like to say that Tyler is so close-minded about everything else to the point where his music and his opinions on music are tainted because he's stuck in the 2000s. And that's not the case because Igor sounds like nothing like made in the 90s or in the 2000s, or at least in my opinion, it doesn't sound like anything like that, or anything in rap.
Right, yeah.
If we're going to consider it a rap album, it doesn't sound like anything like that. And I don't, it would be a discredit to him to be like, oh yeah, like you're making music not considering the new school, so you're like your music is bad now. No, it's not how things work. So to consider him an old head, I don't think so. Has he lost touch with the new school? Yes and no, because I mean, first off, Tyler Creator's hasn't been the person to like. He's had opinions in the past before that hasn't matched up with some of the things he's said either in his lifestyle or in his music. Like the whole marriage thing, we talked about this on the phone. Yeah. Where he was like, "Oh, I'll never get married. Like I don't really think there's one person for me." And then Wilshire is a song just discrediting all that. Mm-hmm. You don't rap about one person for 8 minutes, and then at the end being like, "If your boyfriend does anything, I will kill him or I will get him killed." I'm like, either we take your music seriously or we take your word seriously. It's like,
right.
You know what I mean?
Even what point did I bring up? I want to say it was Run It Up. Where he talks about never having anxiety, never doubting himself. It's like, like
Goblin is just depression.
Goblin, Bastard, right. Even a little bit of Wolf with Answer. Like, there's been many points that I personally love you for, where you got vulnerable and you discuss that. And I get, you know, in terms of the art and it being kind of a victory lap album, but yeah, it doesn't match up sometimes with what he says versus what he's doing. And I think that's what kind of
separates it.
Yeah, separates it. And like, say a Joe Budden kind of was making these criticisms. We're not having this discussion. Nobody cares. But when it's Tyler, it's almost what about everything you were doing up until this point? Right. And I like the point you made of maybe giving an old head take, because Tyler is not making old head music. He's not dropping 32s and 16s. Right. He's still very much making contemporary right now music, even if he's inspired by these old eras.
Exactly.
But
he's adding a new flavor to it, because I mean, he does. There are some songs that are very Pharrell like inspired. Like, I can't lie on that. But like, he's his own, like, we would have these criticisms like, damn, if he was making music like this, like when he was like 22, like when he was younger, like if we switch like discographies, like if he made like Flower Boy, then Igor, then Call Me Get Lost, and then he made like Wolf, it'd be like a very confusing thing, because it'd be like, I mean, I get it. You're making music like that's, in my opinion, the newer stuff is a little bit more inspired, where the older stuff is a little bit more like finding the artistic roots and building foundations. So if those things switched, it'd just be like interesting to see, because one, the content is different. Two, outside looking in, he'd be so canceled. So it'd be like, where do we, like, in terms of old headedness, how can we justify calling him an old head when most, if not all, of his music has grown with us and hasn't changed primarily? Like, the audience hasn't really changed for Tyler, the Creator. The fans that he's had, like, with Bastard and Goblin, he probably still has now. It's just some of them, most of the edgelords probably found something else, and everyone else who stayed around has just grown up with him.
Right.
So it's like, we're old heads if he's an old head. You feel me?
Damn, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to rock with him, and I'm not saying, I just did say it, so let me rephrase that. If to call him an old head, we would have to take a good look at ourselves and be like, well, how do we, like, just because I don't listen to Ian that often, I don't listen to like these newer, more contemporary artists, right? Like, I'm not listening to them every day. Like, am I an old head for that? No, because I can still appreciate what the new school's doing. Right.
All right. So diving into how Tyler was talking about the homogenization of rap and everyone kind of sounding the same. In my opinion, I feel that this is kind of just a natural evolution of rap just becoming the biggest genre that it is, and all eyes being on rappers and the culture and the lifestyle, and everyone like taking inspiration. We have streamers rocking the chains and the grills now and talking their shit, kind of getting that ego. So what does that look like now as rap is getting so big, and should we be mad at how big it's gotten and people taking this influence?
Well, I think with anything that gets big, anything that gets popular, people are just gonna want to like naturally gravitate to it. I mean,
and just replicate it.
And it was like, and it was kind of like inevitable, because we look back at like the end of the blog era, which I will consider like 2014 into what I would consider now, well, not now, but I would say 2015 to like 2020 would be like the second golden age of rap. And also would also be the birth of streaming around that time. Well, not the birth, because I think SoundCloud was like 2008, but people weren't really like on it.
Yeah, like, it was like that Piff was there. We kind of had.
We still had LimeWire. Like, we still had like the illegal sites, so we just listened to that and it'd be fine. SoundCloud was coming up at the time, so like it was a mixture of quality music being dropped. I mean, 2015, T-Pab, If You're Reading This Is Too Late, DS2, Rodeo, all in 1 year. So it's like, all right, like we were just blessed that year for as rap fans. So a mixture of some of the greatest rap we've gotten with the accessibility of streaming and the general stigma around rap being this old bad boy type thing, at least in white spaces. But you have that happening. It was going to be inevitable that rap was going to be the number one genre, because it was just impossible to ignore. It was such a big movement. So to criticize, influence, like artists who take influences from, other artists, it's kind of unfair. I mean, Kendrick Lamar's biggest influence is pop, and to not ridicule, but to criticize Kendrick Lamar, like, oh, your music sounds too much like Tupac, it's like, that's kind of lame. And it's kind of like not derivative, it's kind of like disingenuous. Yeah. To be like, to just like listen and be like, oh, okay, like just wrap it up. And kind of what Tyler was saying, right? It was like, you just listen to it and be like, it's mid. It's like, you don't have the vocabulary to express yourself because it's been so easy, and you've gotten it so easy. I mean, I like to consider the modern consumer on the internet, the machine that chews but doesn't consume, where it's just constantly, it's always got something in its mouth. It's always got something going on, and it'll never be satiated. So we just have to keep feeding it. And that's just also a symptom of the streaming era, where we're kind of we're at now, where you have to make music so often and so like, you know what I mean? You have to make it like, I think like YoungBoy has like 20 albums, and he's like, what? He didn't just get started, but I think he has a bunch. Like RXK Nephew has hundreds.
And shout out to Lil B. Lil B was the one who really really started all this rap.
Just flooding it. So with that, I don't want to say it's in the entirety of the fault of the artist, the new artist, like a Ian or any of the newer guys coming up. It's not their fault that they're making music the way they are. It's just it pays.
Right.
Like you can't make, if United in Grief was made like 2008 by Kendrick Lamar, like randomly, right? Like that was his first hit. It's like, we don't care. People were thinking about Big Pimpin' at the time. Big Pimpin', Graduation, what was that, 2008? I'm trying to think. Or I don't think Graduation 2007, I don't know. Whatever the point. The point is, Bling Era was popping at the time. Music that we're making now is for now, you know what I mean?
Right.
So to criticize someone to be like, oh, you can't, you know, take influence on that, that's kind of weird, especially since one of our bigger artists do it. Now, is it a white thing? Absolutely not. Because to criticize Eminem for some of the sounds he got from Detroit, prominent black city, and be like, oh, you can't rap like that. That's a Detroit thing. He's from Detroit. How else is he gonna rap? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how else is he gonna perform?
Right.
He's gonna rap the way he knows how to rap.
Yeah, and I believe Ian is from Atlanta too. Yeah.
Is he from Atlanta? I didn't know that. I thought the manager was from Atlanta. I think he's from Dallas.
Really?
He's from the South. But either way, the point is, I mean, a better point. He's from the South, so he's gonna have Southern influences. Who else is out there but Young Thug and Opium and all them making their stuff? So we can't just be like, we can't look at them and be like, oh, okay, you can't do that.
To do this.
Now, if you're doing it just to make money, that's different. But it's like,
but even Tyler said, if you're getting your bag,
if you're getting your money,
get your bag.
You're cool with it, I guess.
And also, the bar has been lowered to where you don't have to know all of these. You don't have to know these instruments. You don't have to fully hone in. You can put on a tight beat, punch in on your phone with BandLab, and make a song because you heard Cardi.
Right. And it's a good thing and a bad thing because we have more musicians. I mean, we just have a bigger sample size. Like for every, like in the 90s or in the 80s really, you had like maybe 10 rappers out and that was it. Like that was your rotation. Like that was a rotation at the time because you weren't going to get new music for a while. And times in terms of like getting music haven't necessarily changed. Like again, we waited 5 years for the new Kendrick project. We waited 5 years for the next school. Top Dog in general took 5 years to drop. So we had to wait. But the time between then and now is that now we're way too impatient because we have the internet and we have so many artists where it's like, why wait for an Ice Cube to drop when I can just go listen to like this other rapper online and it's there and I'm getting my fix. And I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? I don't have to wait for Ice Cube's new album. I don't gotta wait for the new NWA album. I can just go find something else. Like it's accessible. Yeah. And with that accessibility, you're gonna have a lot of good things and bad things. You're gonna have, for as many good rappers we're gonna get from this big pool of people, we're gonna get a lot of small people. We're gonna get a lot of like, you know, you get your little Mabus, you're gonna get your Tom McDonald's, you're gonna get your, you know, Slim Jesus, you're gonna get like rappers like that. That was a throwback, huh? Yeah.
I almost forgot about
Slim Jesus.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have that. You're gonna have rappers that just come up and
it could just be
and just disappear. And then that's how things should go. Natural selection. The good shall prevail. The small shall go. I mean, if you're banking on your music career to survive off strictly marketing, you were never going to make it in the first place.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of rappers now, like not rappers now, but rappers that came up in the SoundCloud era are finding out. Or it's like, oh, like my whole brand was recklessness.
Yeah,
and
like Lil Pump. Or like the
just being wild and being eccentric, and then 5 years later, my body's tired or I have an addiction.
Yeah, you can't keep it up.
I can't keep it up, but that was my whole music. I don't know anything else. And then you're put in this position where it's like, oh, now do I change my brand? Do I change my style? Or do I just let it rock and just hopefully, you know, figure out my space? So it's like, to just straight up demonize people for taking inspirations. No thought is 100% original. So it's like to 100% be like, you have to make things fresh out of your mind. It's like no one can do that. You know what I mean? No one can really do that. So it's Kanye on Graduation was like, I might bounce ideas, but only I can come up with some stuff like this. Like
right. And the way we do consume music, we don't have to wait 5 years. And also,
Right.
if I just want to hear one song off of an album, I don't have to
Buy the album.
Yeah, put that album in and hear every track and skip. No, I could just boom straight to this.
Track 4.
Hear a single.
Track 8, yeah.
And
singles is different too, because even in singles, I mean, I'm not 100% sure on this, but at least using context clues, it feels like you could buy singles on CD, but that was a whole separate purchase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You gotta really love that song or that artist.
For like $4.99, I'm listening to like everything. So it's like, and that also brings inspirations too, because, you know, now music is reaching places where like they're bumping Mac Dre in Iowa right now, or they're bumping like The Game in like Wyoming. You know what I mean? Where it's like places where this music wouldn't necessarily reach is now reaching, and because of that, you're getting more inspirations, and with that, you're getting more artists who are genuinely creative or are genuinely like care about this art form coming out. It's just, unfortunately, it's just easier to market lackluster music because it's easier to make and it's more approachable. Like, again, like coming back from Tyler's point where he was like, oh, like there's so many people who dress the same or who talk the same or do the same. It's just because it works. I mean, why take a financial risk on a career, like assuming that they're going in it for the money? Like, let's just assume they're doing that. It's just business. Why risk doing something completely different off the jump and then pray that I hit a creative wall, like a Tyler the Creator, where it's like you do something for so long, you hit a wall, cherry bomb, and then you find yourself in a new creative space where you might want to either express it or not, and then that's how you get a Flower Boy. That's how you get like Igor. It's like, it's so, like, Tyler was very talented, obviously, because he did just that. You know what I mean? He changed styles out of nowhere. Goblin doesn't sound like Call Me If You Get Lost. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's because he was in it for the art. For the money, it's more like, all right, how can I make the same song 32 times? That's 2 albums with not product placement, with placing on playlists and all the other stuff. Like, how can I generate money from this?
Right.
And then once that question's answered, it's like sustaining it, marketing it, and nothing's easier to market in rap than Black Trauma. So of course you're gonna have like your four-bats, you're gonna have people personifying this gangster rap lifestyle because it's easy. It's easy to do that because, it's everywhere. It's in the news. It's it's being marketed everywhere. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, I know it works. I just got to put that ski mask on, buy a pistol or a fake one, whatever, and just make rap. And then that's how you make money.
Sell.
It's infinite money glitch. So might as well keep doing it. Like, I can't be 100% mad at it. Like, if someone was like, oh yeah, like, screw rap, I don't want to do that. I just want to make money. It's like, okay.
Right.
Like, if Jay-Z really wanted to, he could have stopped rapping. He still would have been a millionaire. He would have been the person to be like, yeah, screw rap. I have legitimate businesses elsewhere. I can do something else.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if anything, it's like capitalism.
Damn, maybe Tyler's having his like death of auto-tune moment.
Right.
Type of thing.
Could be.
But even what is it with the personification? Like we as rap listeners, and I'm just qualifying all of us a whole. You don't have to like truly believe, but we accept cap rap. You don't have to be living in the streets and running drills and doing all this in order to make music. I don't believe that 90% of the artists right now are going into people's house and kicking in the door and selling drugs. It's just, it sounds good over the beat.
Except for King Von.
Yeah, except King Von and...
Hell is so hot, bro. Hell is so hot. Like, the stories are tangent. The stories that came out about bro, crazy. He is a serial killer.
They said praise, like the streets are when he died.
That's what I'm saying. People were like, there were like so many interviews about that. It was like, yeah, bro. When King Von died, there was like celebrations. I'm like, dang, he was on your ass.
That's fat. And there's a part of hip hop that almost is not even based off, but they love that. Rap listeners love when they really come from the streets and they're really living that life.
But that's just the essence of rap. I mean, rap in its essence has always been about authenticity. But within that, again, as the genre kind of grows, we're still kind of figuring out growing pains. Mind you, rap is very young. In the grand scheme of music, it is a very young and also very controversial genre. We look back, 50s was rock, 60s was more rock, funk adjacent. 70s, 90, not even in the 70s. We had like our first rap song, 1979, Sugar Hill Gang. Not first rap, but first commercial rap song was then. 1979, 80s through 85 was like the infancy. Like we were just figuring stuff out. Things were still more dance adjacent, more disco. 85 to 95 would be the golden age, or at least how I see it. Because you got NWA, you got all them, Pac, Biggie, Jay-Z was coming up at the time, and on and so forth to the Bling era. Now, with that being said, you have all of these rappers, and not all of them are not going to say from where they are. I mean, NWA, for a good example, he was the only one in that group really dope dealing.
Right.
Like really dope dealing. Like I'm not saying like all of them were like fake or posers and nothing like that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying like those things that were in your songs, only one of y'all would be like, yeah, bro, like I was really in the field. You know what I mean? Like I was really there. And that's fine. Like I'm not gonna stop listening to NWA because only one of them was gangbanging, you know what I mean? Or only one of them was in the streets. Like after a while, and I think this is kind of bringing back to what Tyler was saying. It's like after a while, you listen to the music critically, and you can kind of tell who's authentic, who's not. Because like you can kind of listen like, okay, like obviously you're just saying these things, and you're just doing it to get paid, and that's cool. Like do what you got to do. But like as far as like authenticity, like you listen to some artists and you're like, okay, he's been through some stuff, and he's truly like, and that's what kind of makes the music more nuanced. Yeah. Like I listened to YG Still Brazy. And for what that project is, very great, fantastic project, but very dark. Like it's hard to listen to it because like I'm thankful for what I have, but I'm not happy with why I have it. Because he got shot, he was paranoid the entire time. Like he's like on that album, you listen to it, he's tweaking. Yeah, he's like, I don't know who shot me. I'm freaking out. I'm at the crib, like paranoid. I got a pistol when I answer the door. Like that's not normal behavior for anybody. To just be so agoraphobic, you can't leave the house. You know what I mean? You're thinking about like anyone could have gotten you. Like that's different. So
yeah, and that pain is weaved into the music.
And you listen to it, you're like, oh yeah, like I believe YG. Like I believe YG.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not listening to Lil Mabu like, oh yeah, you was out here up in polls. First of all, that's different. We'll get to that later. But I'm not listening to him like, oh yeah, like you was really in the field. Like I've never been in no field, but it's like I can listen to be like, all right, cool. You have never done a drill in your life. Because if you're rapping about it and glorifying it, it's different. Now, King Von is different. King Von is very different. That's very. But with everyone else, like with other drill rappers, you listen to them and it's like, some of them are not proudful of what they've done. Chief Keef is low key like a gospel rapper now. Mm-hmm. If you listen to like I listen to Phone In with a different like ear. I'm listening to Bitch Where like, this man's talking about going to church. Gotta go to church. Damn, man, I need to pray. SOSAB. Sorry, I had to finish it.
He got out of that situation.
Yeah, and then even Jesus, he's like, don't look up to me. Go look up to God. It's like, it's cool to see that, but it's like, sometimes like I'm not saying you have to glorify violence to get on, but it's an easy way to do it because what sells?
Yeah.
Sex and violence and black trauma. That's what fills your pockets, and people got to eat. So. Get your money. It's just at that point, you just got to be aware of what you're doing. That's all it is. And you can still be authentic and still chase the money. You know what I mean? You could be like, like MF Doom. He was on multiple occasions. He was like, oh yeah, like, I just want my bread. Like I'm just here to feed my family. Yeah. And he made mad villainy off that mentality. So it's like we can't just be like, oh, you have to do it for the love of the game. It's like no. Sometimes like Nikola Jokic looks like he hates playing basketball, but like. He's an MVP. He's a three-time MVP. I don't know. He's an NBA champion. It's like you can still be successful in your craft and not truly like have the greatest intentions in mind. Like you don't have to be a Kobe Bryant. You don't have to be like I'm in the gym 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then I go sleep for an hour. Like you don't have to grind yourself to those levels, but just be like you can, as long as your intentions are pure and you're doing it for the reasons, like for the right reasons, then sure. Like if you're just making like rap music to make fun of rap, like in a satirical way, even that has its merit, but it's still like, you gotta be real careful with it. Cause it's like, you know what I mean? Especially if you're not like from it. Yeah. Like which goes back to Tyler's thing where it's like, I can understand like the whiteness aspect kind of being an issue. Cause it's like, is it satire or are you mocking us? Because I would much rather have someone like you or me, like someone who like looks like us, who's listened to the thing, who's grown up with experiences and do satire. That's fine.
Okay.
Because it's like, okay, Miles, Miles makes me rap, and it's like, okay, like it's funny, like I can respect it, I can listen to it, and it's cool. Like it's like what pizzeria is a bop. So it's like you don't have to be like super serious. You just make so you can make whatever. It's art. It's just as long as you're coming from a place of love. That's all that matters.
Like even a Lil Durk or 21 Savage, where they can acknowledge I'm not in this place anymore, and I want to put the guns down. I want to stop the violence, but also it would kind of be disingenuous as a listener to expect, oh yeah, now you got to make music about Islam. Now you gotta really live that, because that's what they've been doing their whole life. That's what they built their career off of. I can't fully expect a 21 Savage to just make gospel music now, because he's from Atlanta. He knows what sells. He knows what's gonna put money in his pocket. So.
I mean, whatever works though. I mean, we look at what's his face. We look at Kanye. With his whole Jesus King, like that whole moment in space was kind of muddled with all the other Republican stuff. But during that time, he was like, yeah, like I'm giving up regular rap. I'm just gonna go gospel. I'm going gospel. I'm not cursing no more in my songs, and like everything's gonna be in the name of Jesus. And I was like, cool. At that time, it was interesting to see how that was working, because Jesus King came out. I personally didn't like the album, but Donda came out. And I was like, okay, this is a better, sure, ideas from Yandi were on the project, but whatever. And we look at change. Yeah. So when you see that happen, and it's like, it may or may not work out. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if 21 Savage made a change of pace. I mean, does he want to? I don't know. But as far as like those kind of artists where it's like you have to make aging with your music and kind of growing with your music, it really just depends on the artist. I mean, this is about Tyler the Creator. So with Tyler the Creator, it's like he went from kind of like Memphis horrorcore adjacent music, kind of dark music, into something more colorful, something more synth heavy, something more, there's nuance to the songs.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes. Even
though his older stuff had more originality, quote unquote, but the newer stuff now I can appreciate because it's a more complete image.
Right.
So
we can look fondly now because of where you came from.
Exactly.
And the things that you used to make.
Exactly. So with a mixture of influence and a mixture of time, it's like, who knows what people will make. It's just a matter of what's being made and what's most importantly, how you're approaching it. Because you can make a country album without any knowledge of the country, and depending on if you get lucky, if whatever aspect you just nail on the head, but it's usually not going to end up a good project, or not gonna, at least at the very best, inconsistent. Because it's like you don't know those, you don't really, you're not from there. You know what I mean? So it's like, as long as you're keeping with a space of authenticity, it doesn't matter what you do.
Dang, yeah. And I guess it does just matter what the artist or the rapper is just choosing to make.
Yeah.
Where do they see themselves? Can they really see the growth in themselves and know, okay, if I do choose to put these guns down and make a gospel album, or I become an NLE Chakra, is this gonna truly sell? Yeah,
I mean that's kind of the sad thing about life now. It's just right now our hobbies and our like financial need like kind of intertwine. Where it's like you can't. I mean, like any way to get money at this point. You just gotta go get your bread, and if you gotta do it through making fake raps or cap raps, just don't get shot. That's all it is. Like, I mean, even with cap rap, it's like you can lie. I mean, there's artistic expression in music. I mean, Jay-Z has spoken about it multiple times, where it's like, yeah, but people are just not from the field like that. And it's just like whatever.
Lil Tecca, like, I do not have.
I don't have 2 guns. I don't drive nowhere. And
I never been to Milan. I never been out the country.
I was like, it's a bop, but come on, dog, do better. But yeah, I mean, even with Lil Tecca, I'm like, all right, I can appreciate for what it is. But you just, I don't really hate a lot of. I don't really have a lot of disdain for a lot of rap right now, only because of where it's at. But I can differentiate. Where it's like, okay, obviously this person's just in it for peas.
Right.
And but some of them grow out of it. Like with Yeet, it's like you listen to his older stuff and it's like it sounds so samey.
Yeah, yeah.
And then 2049 happens.
Yeah, I can.
And then you're
that.
like, I'm so sorry, Yeet. I'm so sorry for whatever negative things I said about you. If I ever did, I apologize because that album is fire.
On me.
That album is like objectively fire. That's what's dope about that Yeet project. So it's like, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can kind of be in it for what it is, and then you end up catching that creative bug, and next thing you know, who knows? Ian could be the next like Mac. We don't even know.
Yeah, we haven't given him the space to fully grow.
Like there's no mixtapes out. We don't even know who this person is. And so I guess he's doing something right. I mean, Tyler Creator's on his radar, so
right.
Or Ian's on Tyler Creator's radar, so it's like I don't really mind. I don't really mind that. I mean,
yeah,
that's if it's working.
And for Tyler to say that it would take away from other people listening to his music,
that I don't believe. That to me is a little bit of an old head take, because it's like you're saying, and it's kind of like self-depreciating a little bit, because it's like you're making, like you're Tyler the Creator, dog. We're gonna listen to your music. Like, what are you saying? Like, not even like it's almost not offensive, but it's like, dude, it's like,
who do you think we are?
Who do you think we are? Like
rap listeners.
Like like we're not like jingly keys. Like, oh, new stuff. Like if like humans are gonna go towards the more dependable thing. And Tyler the Creator is you are a dependable artist. You give us good music. So it's like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, Little Band-Aid just dropped. I'm gonna listen to Little Band-Aid.
Yeah, they release on the same day. And
they'll say like, oh, I'm not at the house like, oh. Decision, like the button meme where it's like two guys say, oh no, do I listen to Tyler the Creator or Little Lubriderm? I don't know what I'm doing.
No, definitely right. Yeah, that's a canon episode. When something happens, this is a canon event, but we don't get too many canon events in the course of a year. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we do get a great project, A$AP Rocky's dropping, Kendrick's dropping, but in between we gotta listen to the filler. I can't listen to. I listened to this Mr. Morale a million times. You know, the 1,000,000-second one, I'm not gonna. It's gonna be different.
Right.
So okay, Ian dropped, and this is some white kid rapping. Okay, I'm
gonna give it a listen. And that's kind of, again, back to my whole point of just consumption. We have so much, so it's like we can just listen whenever. And sometimes and now I get. And this is why I think overall, kind of like just spoil everything. Tyler the Creator is not 100, in my eyes, not wrong. It's just misworded differently because just how he said it. You know, sometimes you say things in a passionate manner and you don't really mean exactly what you mean. It's just, you're just hoping your point gets across.
Right.
And I don't think he came out of a place of malice. I don't think he hates Ian. I don't think he hates like the new school. I just think, you know, with his previous knowledge of everything, and where he's at right now, I mean, he is a artist who makes music in this genre, who has grown up with this genre his entire life. To be like, oh, you have no idea what you're talking about, that's kind of lame. But with him and with Ian, it's just so interesting to see them kind of clash in such a weird way, given that you wouldn't see them in the same room together. But
no,
it is what it is. Now, I can understand the argument with I can understand the argument with younger artists. Like imagine if, I'm trying to think of let me put on some people. Let me see what I have. Not put on, but let me see what, there's an example.
Here.
Let's say.
Like a La Russell or like a Destroy Lone. Maybe those two are kind of clashing type of thing.
But I would say, okay, like for example, like Public Speaking. He's an artist I've been listening to recently. Go listen to that. That artist is good. So like, let's say a Public Speaking drops, he drops his debut, and that is in contention with like a Lil Pump. It's like, I can understand, because it's like the music that Public Speaking makes over Lil Pump is harder to digest to like the common ear, whereas Lil Pump is just a sked it 87 times, and it's like, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So at that point, I get it, and I do think as consumers, that is the responsibility of the consumer, not the responsibility of the artist, to make music for the consumer. It's the consumer's responsibility to make the proper decision. And that's kind of where marketing comes in, where it's like, okay, like you don't know where your mind's at. Here's Lil Mabu. Here's Tommy Donald. Like, it's just kind of like, it's like layups, you know what I mean? That's for you, bro. Like, if you don't know what you want,
Yeah, the label they put the money behind it.
I'm just gonna push it towards you. That's what it is. That's just finding who doesn't know what they know and then making them one of yours. It's just targeting people who are just less in the know, and that's kind of where these problems come from. Because you have like, put the dumpling on the camera.
Oh, me,
the dumpling on the GoPro. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, I forget. Okay,
like the responsibility of the rap listener, and
I think. Let me just. There you go. Edit chops. I think realistically, the responsibility of what thrives in this new landscape is kind of on the consumer, because if the artist just made music for the consumer, we wouldn't have great art, you know? Like if T-Pab was made with the minds of white folk in mind, right. I don't think that project would be very good, or at very most it'd be kind of like decent. Like again, if white people or everyone who listens to Kendrick Lamar was in mind when making T-Pab, probably wouldn't be good. You know what I mean? So when you have that happening and you create for, like, as a consumer, it's important. Now, I'm not saying you have to go listen to like every underground like artist possible. Yeah. You can't just be like, oh, I gotta go find. I'm on Bandcamp like 24/7 trying to find the new guy so I can be on. Like, no, you don't have to do all that. There really are no gatekeepers in this era. So it's like to completely try to dive into finding the new artist, you're just gonna lose. There's too many artists coming out.
Yeah, it's too oversaturated. There's not enough time. It's too
saturated. Exactly. So I think it's responsible for the consumer to be like, all right, cool. Like, what do I want to listen to? Unfortunately, the sample size of consumers is all ages. So you're going to have kids who are like 7 watching Lil Mabu be like, oh, that's a kid that looks just like me, who lives a badass life. You know, he's rolling around with friends. He's not alone. You see Lil Mabu, he's never by himself. You know, I don't know why I'm using Lil Mabu as an example.
Because I feel like hate for Ian, I feel like needs to get directed towards that. To me, Ian, I'm like, what's Ian pushing? He doesn't sound...
Well, we don't know. He could be a whole different person behind the camera. So it's like, we don't know what he thinks. He could be like, oh, like, I didn't take any seriously. And I was at the house chilling.
I got some N-word tweets back from 2018.
Right. And then...
Just based off of, like, the music, what I hear he promotes. I'm not hearing him talking about running drills and I just hear him rapping about smoking blunts and, like, having money. If a white dude were to be rapping, I imagine Ian. Like, I got my 401k. I'm with my girl right now. Like, okay, you're not pushing... some crazy message. You just kind of have some Gucci beats and some Yeet inflections. That's not the biggest problem to me. And we could get into like the problems facing hip hop and the problems with white rappers.
Right.
Like that would be more of a problem. A Lil Mabu would be a problem. Like, oh, you are like fetishizing this culture. You are trying to push this image and promote this lifestyle that, one, you don't live, and 2, that is destructive to the community around you.
Right.
You can be destructive to yourself. You can smoke blunts, you can do drugs and fuck girl, but I don't care about that. Right. If it sounds hard to me, bro, go ahead.
And like, it's the responsibility of the parents to step in whenever like your kid is obviously listening to something they shouldn't be listening to. I mean, that's why the parental advisory sticker isn't there for like artistic expression. It's there because parents need to be parents.
Right.
And if you listen, like, don't get me wrong, like, if you think everything in rap is bad, then you probably shouldn't be listening. Probably should listen to some more rap. You know what I mean? If your mindset is, oh, all rap does is promote violence and it promotes gangs and it promotes evil things, it's like, no, the opposite, really. It's just more of a reaction to the world that black folk live in. So to kind of, boil that down to just the harsh realities of it, and then, well, if like a Lil Mabu, I really want to use a different example. I don't want to poop on this kid. Like, I don't want to be so negative, but it's like, I just have such a problem. But I have no thought about Lil Mabu. I have no hatred towards him. It just exists. It's just
a thing that's there.
Right.
It is a joke almost. It's a caricature.
Like, I can't hate it. He's not on Twitter every day being like, oh yeah, I hate black people. This is why I make this music. Like, he's not doing that. And I can acknowledge that. It's just the connotations behind the music and like the meanings that I kind of see with it.
Like at least Ian's with his family.
Yeah,
like he's at the dinner
at least with his family. He's not trying to do anything like too hood adjacent. I think that's what it is. I think everyone's just trying to be from the hood, and it's like, why? I mean, like,
and that would even be a bigger conversation than of okay, as rap music, what do we promote? And it could be like, what are the labels promoting? What are we consuming? And is this just not a reflection of everything that we're putting out? It's just now it came back to us as a white kid. Now it's like, whoa, wait. How did we get here?
I think that would be more of like it'd be easy to blame capitalism for most of it, because again, if it pays, it plays. So I'm gonna try to go a different route with it. Or at least I'll try to avoid just going capitalism.
Because it always goes to capitalism, because again,
if we're gonna go into there, be like, all right, cool, like this is the reason why it works. I think it's just a sense of impact, because we see these guys or at least the more marketable people, like a little Pop Smoke or like a street guy, right? It's easy to look at them and be like, okay, they got the flash, they got the jewels, they got the cars, they got the women, they got the money, you know what I mean? And you see that as a kid, and you're very impressionable at your age to be like, all right, like this is something that I can kind of follow along with. So you start dressing like them. That's why, what Tyler the Creator was talking about, how I'm just gonna call him Tyler from now on, because I'm saying the whole thing. Tyler's whole thing about how people are dressed the same and look the same is because it works, because it's something that is, attainable. A kid that comes from like not so great financial places, right? Look at Pop Smoke, that's something to be like, that's the achievable thing.
Yeah.
But when you're a white kid, you got money, you can just dress like that.
Yeah, you can just buy it.
You can just buy it. Like you can go to the store and go get you some Balmains, some Truey jeans, get you some I don't know, some Fagos. You can get whatever you want. Like you can get like chains. Like you could really pop out and be that guy if you got the peas for it. So it's like, so when you see that, and then that kind of leads to another thing where it's like, okay, cool. Like you listen to the raps and it's like, okay, it's not that hard. Like if you listen to like That's That, and you can kind of understand by MF Doom, and you can understand the technical difficulty of that track to make every word rhyme with every other word. That's difficult to do. And to make it sound somewhat like good, that's very hard. So it's like, you can like, do you have to be so technically like adverse into it? No, but it's like, you can, but it's a combination of things. It's a combination of the vision of the visuals plus the effort it takes into it. And some of the artists, I'll be honest, like even some of the greater ones, like Travis Scott, I can't really think of a Travis Scott bar that was like, wow, that was a heat bar. Like that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for production, I'm looking for curation, I'm looking for aesthetic when I listen to Travis Scott. Yeah. So when you take a Travis Scott aesthetic, you can copy it. It's real easy. Cargo pants and t-shirt, right? Yep. With a little chain. You can rock with that. And next thing, now you're a fly guy. You know what I mean? Now you're a big guy on campus. So it's just a matter of just, again, imitation is the best form of flattery, but it's still imitation. And if you see a white kid dressing like Travis Scott, rapping like Travis Scott, it's like, do we blame Travis Scott for that? No. Because he's just making music. Now, Travis Scott as a brand we can blame, but as a person, no. But I mean, we look at that, and we like to we play this game where it's like, oh, like where did we all go wrong? Where it's so clear, it's like it's not really our fault. It's not really like the fault of the artist because they try to get on. It's just you gotta play the game. You know what I mean? Even some of our most respected artists, like Kendrick Lamar, had to play the game of just making a couple of hits. I mean. Yeah. Look at Damn. I mean, Damn is kind of the more accessible album out of his discography. Yeah. Like, white folk don't know anything about Section 80.
So people will still kind of lampoon and hate on Mr. Morale.
Right. They're like, no, you can't play them in the club.
It didn't sell more than CLB.
Right. You ain't making money. It's like, you don't got to make money. Like crack has sold so much numbers, bro, but crack is not good for you. So why are we saying like that whole argument of numbers is key? No, bro. A lot of things. Fent is doing Wilt Chamberlain numbers right now.
That's facts.
And are we smoking? We doing Vent? Are we doing Fent? No, I'm not doing that just because it's popular. You just gotta have that sense of like, like what you like, and sometimes you gotta. I mean, don't get me wrong. Just because it's popping, don't mean you have to be a contrarian. Just because it's popping, don't mean you gotta hate it now. No, It's just if it's good, it's good. But it's like just because it's got numbers doesn't mean it's the end all be all, or it doesn't have to be like that type of thing. So numbers are more commercial and more advertising. So if you're more of a marketing guy, sure, but if you're more of a music person, those stuff doesn't really matter to you.
I don't know. I get Tyler kind of wanting to separate himself, but does he need to call that out rather than give credit towards artists who he really like? He could have had a completely different conversation regarding artists that he does like versus, the whole conversation right now has just been against Tyler and Ian. Like, do us as like rap listeners or like artists who are making music, do they need to call that out? Do they need to call out the minstrelsy in a way in order to keep hip hop pure? And if we are talking about keeping hip hop pure, what is this the biggest problem facing hip hop versus a number of things that we could get into, like the homophobia, the violence, the misogyny?
Yeah.
Is white guy making rap
the biggest
big
issue?
problem?
To answer that right away, I don't think so. We have a lot of other problems that aren't like white centric. Like one thing, a lot of things that Tyler Creator, like a lot of the criticisms he was making, I keep saying Tyler the Creator, Tyler, the thing that Tyler was talking about on that whole thing made sense. I mean, like, why am I going to spend $50+ to go see my favorite artist dance to his own track? You know what I mean? Like, I have Apple Music for $5, $6.
That's facts.
If I really wanted to, I could spend no money and still listen and still get the experience that these rappers are putting on, where it's just, you know, throw the backing track on there. It's just lazy.
Yeah.
It's like it's not hard. Like, I know plenty of songs by heart. You know what I mean? Songs that I haven't written or anything like that. I know plenty of songs by heart. So it's not hard to learn a song. You know what I mean? Of course, the performance aspect is it's nerve-wracking, but it's like, that's where it comes from. I feel like that's where I get tired the most, where it's like, you're not putting enough effort into your craft, and that's where it's a problem. Because it's like, now we see like, you're doing it just for money, and you want to be big, you want to be in this space, you want to hang around with the big dogs, but the big dogs are rapping. Big dogs aren't like out here like Killer Mike, again, for who he is. Like, Killer Mike hasn't had a backing track in any of his tracks, and he's like, I mean, he's not the most like athletic dude. He's not running around, you know. He's not like Lil Uzi Vert energy. You know what I mean? He's rapping
Kanye
it,
running straight
right?
the stage.
He's not booking it. He's not sprinting or nothing like that. But he's doing the songs like straight up. You know what I mean? Sometimes with no beat at all. He's going straight a cappella. So it's like, if you're just gonna sit down, especially if you don't write your own stuff. Like, if you have a ghostwriter, you don't perform any of your songs live with just your voice.
You're showing up 2 hours.
You're showing up 2 hours late. All your interviews are about nothing else. It's anything about music. That's how you get the industry plant tag, where it's like, you have so much assistance left and right, to the point where it's like, you could put anyone in the situation. It's like the Brock Purdy effect, where it's like, you have so much talent around you and so much help around you. No matter how good you're gonna be, you're always gonna be limited on your ceiling in terms of public like exposure or public like viewpoint. Because it's like, you have so much. You have a team of writers. You have a team of like performance like coaches, or whatever you want to call it.
Team.
You have a whole PR marketing team. You have people telling you what to say, what to do, how to act. Your life is basically documented. It's like, if you're not an industry plant, you're a whole commodity. You have been bought and sold, and it's like, at that point, it's like, it's more worrying.
Ice Spice,
right? It's like, you're like, I don't see what else you can do. It's like, I don't know you as a human. I know you as a brand, and that's where it becomes. That's why I said, you know, Travis Scott as a person versus Travis Scott as a brand. You have to separate the two, because there are now two different people, two different things.
Tyler, I don't know who Travis is. I don't think anybody knows who Travis is. Like, man does not exist beyond the crux of getting lit in Astro World.
That's what I'm saying.
Even on his interview, did you see he was just like, what I keep with me? I just keep like my iPhone, and I keep cacti. It's like, yeah, you are just a marketing man. Like,
you're sponsored by, like, you know what I mean? It's product placement, bro. That's all it is. I mean, that's another capitalistic thing, where it's like, music is, you can kind of tell when you're being sold something, and it's like, come on. But it's like, some people don't, and it's like, all right, cool. Like, my favorite artist likes this brand. Let me just buy it, and then here we are. But I think realistically the biggest problem in hip hop isn't that. I think the biggest problem we have is we can't really define what we want because we're not from. At the same time, we're getting so many artists. A lot of the older artists aren't leaving, so it's like we still have like Jay-Z and Nas are all relics of the Bling era, but they're still making quality music.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Kendrick has been around for so long, 2009, bro. That's like, you could say that's like probably in that gray space.
Music age, that's
a long time.
Yeah, that's like centuries ago.
That's a long time. Like we have rappers. Eminem is 50, bro, and he just dropped an album. So it's like we have Danny Brown is on a tear right now. Like older artists are like staying alive longer or like not falling off. Like we have a stronger longevity. So that's more of a problem for the consumer because now we can't really define what we are at the moment, and we can't really define like consumers who are looking for change aren't getting it. Because we still have our Kendricks, we still have our Drakes, we still have our this. Like if we think about it, like into the 90s or into the 2000s, we've always had a revolving door of GOATs. And it's always been like, you have a couple years where you're on and then someone else will take your spot because they dropped a better project or you dropped a worse project. And it kind of goes like that. And then that's how you get those barbershop arguments. Who's better?
Yeah.
Jigga, Kendrick, or Nas, you know what I mean? And it's like, you get those happening. But there's always usually a revolving door. And recently, depending on how you feel about the Kendrick v. Drake beef, we might have our first undisputed GOAT, depending on how you see it. I mean, depends. Even if you went for Drake, then you think Drake's the undisputed because there's no more GOATs. And if you think Kendrick won, you think Kendrick's undisputed because depending on who won. Like that was the whole point of that beef, to find out who's going to be the undisputed one. So for the first time in a long time, we have our first undisputed king. Now, what that means is that now, or at least how I predict it to be, is that now, depending on how long they can keep it up, maintain it, we're going to be in this era for a very long time. So with the problem, so kind of like running around the main point, the problem that consumers face right now is identity, which is, Rage is still in a place where we don't know what it's going to sound like. Yeats had a great idea where it could be, but that's only one project. Yeah, everything else has kind of been
still mixed too. We enjoy it as music listeners.
People were like, it's a little bit too industrial. It's a little too abrasive for me. And it's like, I get that. But I think Yeats on a really good tear. But the problem is he hasn't got to keep it up. I mean, oh man, it's fine.
Fuck it.
With that one, it's like you have, with Yeats, it's like we don't have enough people working on the sound.
Yeah.
We don't have enough people working. It sounds weird. Like we have a whole label focused on like rage beats, but we really don't have that we don't really have that identifying thing where it's like, okay, is rage going to be the thing that's going to be out for the new Gen Z? Because Gen Z is kind of muddled with like millennials right now, or at least with elder Gen Z like us, where it's like we're kind of being muddled into like older people where it's like, okay, like you can kind of tell the younger people are getting restless because it's like, especially with rap, because it's like we still have the same guys. Yeah. It's not like we're getting like, Pac will die and then Biggie's the guy, then Biggie will die, and then Jay-Z's the guy. Yeah. And then Nas will come in and then Nas is the guy. It's like, and then now we have Kanye West is the guy. It's like, no. Now it's for small minutes, Eminem is the guy. And then Kendrick's the guy. No, Drake's the guy. No, J. Cole's the guy. And then it's like, you know what I mean?
They're like Xavier 2 Bass, the guy.
Like where you just come up with new people but now it's like, it's hard to differentiate we don't know what's going to happen in this current space right now. And the problem with that is like with consumers like that, you're going to get restless and you're going to have people like, okay, well, can you drop 30 months? He hasn't dropped in like 3 days. I got to go listen to something else. And then you go listen to Ian or you listen to something else. And then that's kind of where those problems come into. The second problem that comes in with hip hop, or at least how I see it, through the eyes of the artist, is pressure through the consumer. And no GOAT is immune to that. Like it's very hard to stay 100% true to your creative space because you're always going to be thinking about, okay, is this a hit? Like the second you ask that question, it's like, oh, like, is this a hit? Oh, is this going to be a hit? It's like, oh, people are going to like this. Like the second you have someone else in mind, it's like, okay, well now you're thinking about, oh, okay, maybe they'll like this more, maybe they won't.
And that's even kind of indicative of like Drake oversaturating versus Kendrick not putting enough.
Right.
We don't know what we want. So then with an artist, they don't know what we want either.
So we're just gonna demand stuff. We're just gonna be like, oh, you should be on Rage Beats. Oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. Like, oh, like this collab would work out, even though they may have beef. Like, oh,
we do not need a Kendrick Youngboy song.
We don't need a Kendrick Youngboy song.
No one needs that.
We don't need that. So it's like we don't know, as consumers, we don't know what we want, and as artists, depending on the type of character they have, they may fall to that pressure, and then that's how you get 1 minute songs with Camila Cabello saying "I love it" 87 times. And then it's on a commercial, so she's getting paid for it. So good for her. But that's how you're gonna get like Charlie XCX copycats. That's how you're gonna get like Tyler the Creator copycats. You're gonna have people like look at it and be like, I don't know what y'all want, so I'm just gonna do what y'all doing, but with my voice. And it's like that's how restless. And then artists are gonna listen to me like, oh man, like I took a 5-year break and now there's 1,000 me's. And now I'm indistinguishable. Like now I gotta either change my sound or reinvent myself in some way, shape, or form. And that becomes a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because especially with the consumer now putting so much on album sales in first week. Right. And you didn't sell over 1,000 or over 100,000, you fell off. You're mid. Like
if you're not going gold or platinum first week, it feels like the album's a bust. Especially if you're like a bigger artist, like going back to Mr. Morale, it's like it didn't sell that much first week, but it's like it's still a super impactful personal album,
right? And
it's still beautiful in its different aspects. So you can't like to just push it off and be like whatever, like it's whatever. It's like you don't really need the language. I mean, you do, but like you don't need complex language to know what you like and what you don't like. But when you don't know what you like period, if you haven't taken the time to like think about like, oh, okay, maybe I like this sound, maybe I don't like this sound, then like once you kind of understand what you like and what you don't like, then it'll be easier for both you and the artist to be like, all right, well, I wasn't liking this project because of this, and then it's easier feedback. It's like with Andre 3000 back in the day, he was like, if you don't move your feet, like I can't eat. Like if you don't listen to my stuff, I'm not going to be able to afford rent. You know what I mean? And that's still kind of how things are in the music industry. But it's easier to make money in this space if you just either sell out or if you just copy whether like another artist.
Whatever that is, whatever's popping at the time, whatever trend that you see people dancing to, whether it be like Lil Uzi doing the Jersey Club, Drake hopping on whatever wave is popping right now.
Right. So it's like, it's at a point where it's like you just got to either stay on your toes. Like the ways artists kind of mitigate that problem without completely like selling out to a specific sound is they'll either jump on a different trend that hasn't been popping or is starting to gain like traction, or they'll do like crazy features. Like they'll do like behind the scenes work. They'll write, they'll produce, they'll do like, that's what J. Cole did for a bit. He was producing behind the scenes before he dropped like, I think it was the Fall Off, or no, it was the Off Season. Before he dropped the Off Season. I think he was doing a lot of production stuff, especially with the Revenge of the Dreamer stuff.
Yeah.
Like you'll have a kind of fall back and kind of like take back behind the scenes look, kind of get a different appreciation of another aspect of your music, and then come back with that appreciation and then that knowledge, and then that's how you get like great projects. That's how you get good features and stuff like that. So, I mean, those to me are the two major problems. As far as white people go, I don't think it's something to look out for, but it isn't something that we should be like, oh, like dog sucks. Like we shouldn't be so like judgmental right away. But I will say, at least in my perspective, it is a much harder like barrier of entry for white folk to get into the rapping, because it's just always been like that.
Yeah, you have to really prove yourself.
Eminem won second in the Rap Olympics, and that didn't matter until some Shady LP. So it's like, you know what I mean? You could really be out here and really prove to everyone that you are a dog, like you are as true stud in rap, and to be white in this space, it is harder. But if you come into it with respect and authenticity, you can still be white and rap about white people stuff or things that happened in your life. And as long as you can credit that, or as long as it's validated and the music is good, have at it.
Yeah.
I don't see any problem. Again, LP, A$AP Rock, like they all exist, and we all and as rap fans, as true like legitimate rap fans. I'm not talking about like people who are just like, oh, like I don't like you because you're white. Like those are different people.
Yeah, you were never gonna
like them no matter what they said. Like Eminem could drop T-Pab and you would be like whack. You know what I mean? Even though that would sound very weird.
It would sound crazy.
That would sound so weird. It'd be very. I'm African American. I'm African. I was like, what?
With a Wesley's theory? That'd be crazy.
Just imagine, but I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel. Anyway.
But even like a Jack Harlow, I was a big Jack Harlow hater. No one could tell me nothing about Jack Harlow, but when he dropped his last project, Jackman, and okay, you're really rapping. You're really talking about where you're coming from. You're giving your perspective. And yeah, sometimes, of course, white dude rapping might sound a little corny. Like it just is what it is. But you're trying, and I appreciate that from you. You're not trying to sell me on something different. You're not completely going into a different genre. Like, no, you're staying here and you're trying to get the respect. Okay, I can definitely appreciate that. Right.
And especially with Jack Harlow himself, I'm not the biggest fan of Jack Harlow. I can appreciate what he does, but you know, like with that, it's like cool. Like I'm okay with Jack Harlow being there. I mean, yeah, he has some problematic stuff here and there. Like I gotta watch my words here. With being a white rapper, it's always gonna come with a level of, at the same time where your barrier of entry is difficult, your margin of error is also very big too. Like you can mess up very easily. And with being that, I mean, look, like with Eminem wearing do-rags, 2006, Tyler said that himself. Mac Miller was never problematic, or at least in my eyes, he was never problematic.
He just was making frat rap.
He was a different dude. He was actually, I'm actually sad he's gone, because he was actually something. He was onto something important.
True goat,
right?
for
he was very important. Damn, got me sad a little bit. Anyway, getting off that, but you can still have care and be white. It's just, you just got to be careful about how you say things in this industry. And then, but if you have a problem with that, then you shouldn't be rapping, honestly. Like if a white person came up to me like, I don't understand why Jack Harlow can't make such and such song by a black artist. It's like, well, he hasn't gone through that. Like even the most corniest black like rapper, like a Dax, you know what I mean? Like even them, we can, for what they do, it's like whatever. But it's like, I can, as a black man, I can kind of understand like where you come from. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I can say like you got to get that janitor work. Custodian work is crazy. You got to get the P's by any means. And I get that. Sometimes you got to work a crap job, but you know, that's not exclusively to the black people, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, you listen to that, it's like, all right, cool. But like with Jack Harlow, it's like, I'm struggling to connect with you. And that's where that came from. And that's just odd. That's where the margin of error begins. Where you're automatically going into this genre, not being known or not being like understood. So whatever you say can and will go against you in the court of Black Twitter. It's going to hurt. Yeah. So, I mean, for any rapper who's white and wants to make it big, just keep black folk in mind. And that's another thing that's tough because that's also part of the consumer base. You got to think about them. So I guess there's more restrictions for white rappers, but I'm not saying that you can't exist. And usually those restrictions are kind of easy to kind of get around. Yeah. We're not asking you like, yeah, but you got to sell your soul. Like Alchemist. Alchemist is the most respected producer in the game. And he white. So it's like, but he went into it like with love. Yeah. From the jump, he was in it for love. And it was like, as black folk, it's like, not only, like, that's like the place all white rappers should be at. You should try to be at the level of respect that Alchemist is at. But in order to do that, you got to have genuine intentions and genuine love for the craft. And it's like, that's how you get to that. That's how you become a Mac Miller. That's how you become an Eminem. It's like, no matter, even at their lowest points, we can still respect them for who they are. Yeah. And that's just how it is. You know what I mean? Like that's how you get respect in the game as a white rapper. You know, you gotta just acknowledge who you are, but not in a way where it's corny. Like, don't make being white like your whole brand. Because then you get real cheesy, and it's like, oh, okay. Like,
then you get Tom McDonald.
Then you get Asher Roth.
Yeah.
And that's how you get Asher Roth. Even though I Love College is kind of a bop.
It's a banger. That made me want to go to college.
I went to college. It was nothing like that, bro. I was studying, bro. I was pissed. I was like, bro, I'm learning, bro. It's trash. Nah, bro.
Bro, where's the beer?
That's what I'm saying, bro. Where the women at? But nah. Yeah, I mean, but that would be the biggest problem with those. It's just be careful. And to kind of talk about the minstrelsy, because I think I just skipped over that point. Or at least not what's it called? To talk about, I kind of want to call them black actors, but then I don't want to associate like black people being fake. Let me see. Let me find the terminology for it.
Cosplayers.
There you go. Yeah, cosplaying. Content creations. There it is.
Yeah.
Little baby's barking. I'm gonna give her a little break to get out of her system. I would say I think it's on the responsibility of the. Actually, that's a good question. I don't think it shouldn't be on the responsibility of anyone. I just think with like the difference with authenticity in rap, you really have to pay attention to the two things, which is it authentic, and is it, well, first of all, quality is kind of subjective, but is it like somewhat, does it have a sense of like quality to it? Like, is there a sense of like care, and is there a sense of authenticity? And usually with care and authenticity, you kind of go intertwined, but you can kind of care about something and be lying. Like CB4 is a good movie to watch, like to explain that, like to explain like the fakeness of rap, but also you can still care about it. I don't want to mention names, but there are some rappers out there that cosplay as this street hood or this super ghetto badass type thing, and that's just like content creation at that point. Like you can kind of like, I know some, I don't know how old your audience is, but y'all can kind of tell which is which, just how things are marketed or how things are pushed towards you. Like again, back to Lil Mabu, he was like, oh, like just got jumped, gone wrong, and it's like that's so Sidemen 2015, bro. That's so like Nelk Boys. Like you can just kind of tell, like
Doug, what was that on Boondocks?
Thugnificent?
Yeah,
no, Gangstalicious, yeah. Or it's just like, oh yeah, I ain't from the streets. Like I just do it for raps, and it's like, all right, like you take it at surface value, and then do your research. That's all you got to do. You know what I mean? And then even if you find out they're faking, like as long as the music is good and they're not promoting like an image of something that would be more like, as long as they're not promoting an image that causes general violence in the world, then it's like whatever. You know what I mean? Like for what NWA is, I can still respect F the Police. You know what I mean? Because it's a song about police brutality, and
yeah, they're standing for something.
Exactly. Like they're taking a stance on something. They're being reckless with their art, which is a good thing, or at least they're being more aggressive with it. But to call it out, it's like you can kind of take it what it is. Like you can kind of see who's in it for the money, who's in it for the actual craft, and it's like. But you can also see people who actually care about rap, but are just doing it in a way that they only know how. Like again, some white folk have listened to like NBA YoungBoy. Like there's a kid out there who's only listening to NBA YoungBoy like in Calabasas right now, and it's like, oh yeah, like this is the only thing I know. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna make this, and then he does, and it's like, okay, well, the artistic expression is there. But I know damn well you're not shooting nobody. Yeah, you have no gun. You're not from there. You're not from Baton Rouge. You're not from Wards, bro. So you can't pretend to be like that. So I think overall, it's just be careful. Just be careful, but also just watch what you say. Because the internet is a big place. The internet's a very permanent place. So you got to be careful what you do and what you say. Most importantly, with music, because it is such a very misunderstood thing where artistic expression is now being brought into court, which is a very scary thing. Yeah. With the whole Young Thug situation, like you can no longer, like if you're rapping and you're faking it, it's like you might go to jail for that. It depending on like the type of things you're talking about,
you and who you keep, the company,
right?
Because even 6ix9ine was not doing none of that stuff, but he was around him and then it got to his head.
Bro was a blood for like 2 weeks and then snitched. So it was like, all right. So it's like, yeah. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so just be careful. Be careful. I mean, and if you're listening to rap with a critical ear, then you should understand these things. Like YG was saying, well, not YG himself, but on a YG song, J Rock was like, should have chucked up his fingers if he ain't banging, I'm saying. I think that was the end bar. And it's like, if you're listening to this music, it should tell you, like, don't fake around. Like, don't play.
Yeah, you don't need to be saying blood and
you don't need to be doing
slide on the ops and stuff.
See, now you got me on, bro. Let me talk about this shit. So, listen, I went to a predominantly white institution. I went to a private school. Yay. And at the time, YG was big. Now, you'd be very surprised about how many white folk pretended to be blood. And I was like, wow. But it was like so bad. Like I'd walk outside and I don't bang, I don't do nothing like that. Like if anything, if I put up a sign in pictures, I was probably nervous. So, right. I don't do that stuff, but I like to I know something about it. So I like to press white folk about it. And at the time it was bad. It was like, everyone put B's in front of everything that didn't make sense. It was like, what poppin', bud? Big it back. I'm billing, waiting for big period. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you saying? You have a stutter? Like, what's wrong with you? And then me being me, I'm like, where you from? Just press them. And they'd be like, oh, I'm from Woodcrest. There's no Bloods in Woodcrest. I'm pretty sure.
That sounds like
I'm like 95% sure.
Bro.
It's very safe. So it's like, I've been there multiple times. I'm like, I'm free. I feel good here. Like I can move.
Leave my door unlocked.
I can leave my door unlocked. Like that's the true burbs, bro. You can just come on in, neighbor. Be like, yeah, bro. Like,
you don't have to fetishize.
You don't have to do that. And it's like, but that's him, bro. And what's bad was that it got so bad that Still Brazy, Don't Come to LA is about that. Like, bro, like you're not from here. Like you're fetishizing like real war stories. Like you're cosplaying. You're LARPing right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? It's not a game. Not a people have died over this. People live and die for that gang. So it's like,
yeah, if you choose to indulge in this, keep it strictly as I'm hearing this perspective, and that's that.
And most importantly, if you're gonna rap about it and not be from that life, just be ready. Just be ready, because you're gonna attract a lot of attention that you may not want. You know what I mean? Because you may be claiming Crip, over in this region, but they may not like those Crips in this region, and they're the same color. So you got to be careful about how you approach those things, because this is more for like young kids. Again, if you've been around rap and you've listened to it, you can kind of understand and acknowledge that that's not what you're supposed to do. Is pump fake. You know what I mean? Not pretend like you got guns in this, because someone gonna try you, and when they try you, it's gonna get real messy. Especially if you can't back up what you say, because now you're a fraud and a mark. And that ain't cool. So, hey, you got to be careful. You can get your ass whooped for free. You know what I mean? Like you can just do it just because you wanted to be NBA YoungBoy. Now you got to live an NBA YoungBoy life, and that's maybe not what you want.
Yeah.
I don't even think he want to live that life sometimes. So it's like don't pretend to be someplace that you're not, and you can still make music that's impactful and not from the area. Kid Cudi has an impactful career. He's impacted a whole generation of folk. And not one time he was like, yeah, bro, I'm about to go hit a drill. I'm about to go stab him up like 133 times. Like, you don't gotta do all that. Like, you can make fun rap. You can make rap music and not be from that. Yeah. If anything, it's more appreciative because it's a different perspective. You know what I mean? The media, and I feel like an old head saying the media, like the government. No, the media likes to portray black folk in a way that is so negative sometimes, most times, to the point where it's like we need something else. Like, and it's good to hear like the Outcasts, the Tylers, the Tizos. Like you hear these guys, and it's like it's a different perspective. Like it's nothing. Their music is happy. Yes, you know what I mean. It's fresh. It's fresh. It's relaxing at times. So it's like, it's good to hear these stories, like rap in general, but music in general is just a global conversation. So you hear one guy talk about one thing, another guy talk about another thing within the same genre, you can kind of get different perspective. Like Tyler talks about, life in Ladera Heights versus, NBA in Baton Rouge, Griselda in Buffalo, Freddie Gibbs in Gary, Indiana. It's like different regions, different places, different people. So you're going to have different voices, different perspectives. And they don't sound like anything like each other. Yeah. So it's like, of course, it's perfect because you get different perspective within a diverse sound. You know what I mean? So it's just when it comes to being authentic, those things usually come out naturally.
Just be you.
Just be you.
Be original.
And it's okay. Like you may not blow up from your like suburbia raps, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. As long like if you're in it for the art, it shouldn't matter. You know what I mean? Like if you like, this is kind of like I guess we can kind of close on this, but like this is like, rap itself is in a great place right now. It's low key in the best place possible because things are getting much more adventurous, much more aggressive, much weirder. Like we're playing with different sounds, we're playing with different genres.
Yes.
Like if you told me Florence the Machine was going to be on a Kendrick Lamar project in 2012, I'd be like, you're crazy. I don't know who that is, but you're crazy. I know who that is now. I know who that is now, but like you're nuts. Like I wouldn't expect like a Phoebe Bridgers on a project like Mr. Morale. I don't think she was on there, but you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't expect like these, you know, a gangster rapper with like an indie folk artist connecting, you know, like that, you know, Kanye West and Paul McCartney. Like you're not expecting these collaborations, and it's because
Yachty, let's start here.
Exactly. Like we have like rap titans just switching genres, just doing something else, and it's so vibrant. So if you want to be a rapper, if you want to like rap, like if you want to truly participate in art, you can, like, now is the time to do it. The barrier of entry for rappers in general, I know actually white people have a tougher time, but in general, much easier because everyone has, well, not everyone, but the majority of the world has an internet connection, and the majority of the world can find a cracked FL Studio like site or link. You can find drum kits on Reddit. You can find like mics for cheap on like OfferUp. Like it's not a big investment to start your career. And now is the perfect time. And who knows, maybe those suburbia raps may connect to a deeper audience. Like you may have been untapped or haven't been spoken to as of late. Like you don't know. Yeah. So just create, you know, write what's on your mind and just keep it real. That's all it asks. Like that's the number, if we can keep it, what Tyler's been saying, what we've been saying, the whole conversation could be boiled down to just keep it real. Because again, we don't know what Ian's saying. I haven't heard any interviews from him. Tyler has said some things, and although I agree with some, I don't agree with others. And I think personally, it's just about purity, not in a way of subtraction, but addition. Like just add more effort, add more consideration for the space, add more of yourself to the music, be more authentic and be more original, be more organic, and you should be fine. And things like this won't come up again. You know, so I think that's kind of how I see it, is just be, like, as for Ian's going to keep doing his thing. I think rap fans should just listen to whatever they want to listen to. Yeah. And just, and have fun with it. Because again, rap's in a great place. So it would be wrong of me to be like, yeah, don't listen to Ian, don't listen to any of these, don't listen to Lil Mabu, don't like, that'd be wrong of me to do that, because even the Tom McDonald's, it's like, to tell you not to listen to that stuff, I don't know, like you may find,
may connect with you,
and that's just you. Like we may not get along because of that, and that's fine, but like I can't hate on you because you like something because you like it, you know, like unless it's like something that's like egregious, like unless you're like siding with like Burzum or something like that, then it's like, all right, well, you're clearly not an individual I want to hang out with, you know. But like if you have like a proper reasoning for music that you like and you have a deeper connection to it, not only will it be easier to talk about, it'll be easier to appreciate, it'll be easier to create yourself, and that's just great. We need more creatives in the world, you know. We need more people that innovate, and I feel like those are just stepping blocks to more creativity happening. So yeah.
What does Drake say? Only real music's gonna last. All that other bullshit.
Here today and gone tomorrow.